So hello, everyone. My name is Job Groenen. I work for AkzoNobel as a program manager, sustainability. Great to be here, and welcome to everyone joining our session. Thanks to all, of course, to the World Building Council and also the APEC team for organizing this event. We think it's a great event, right? Bringing together different insights from different partners, different companies in the industry, in the built environment. Trying to reduce carbon footprint is a great idea. And yeah, we would love to share here also some insights, right, on actually how paints and coatings can help reduce carbon emissions in the built environment. So that's what we'll be talking about today. I would love to share a bit of information about, of course, our company and our sustainability targets, our specific carbon footprint reduction targets that we have set, and also, of course, share with you how we can together reduce the carbon footprint in the built environment. If you have any questions, we have maybe a bit of time at the end of the session, but we'll also share with you some of our contact details at the end of this session, so you can also reach out to us after this session. Yeah, maybe paints and coatings, what are they about? Probably everything you see around you which needs some form of protection has a paint or a coating on it. So we're probably everywhere around you, and particularly in the built environment, a lot of paints and coatings are being used, of course, initially to protect surfaces, but also to use color or to have some form of performance functionality that we can bring to a surface. And you see here in this picture, of course, on the left-hand side, coatings being used, right, to protect a large infrastructural project like bridges, but also on the right-hand side, you can see here an example of a residential home, right, where we are protecting and maybe beautifying some of the areas around you, the places in which you work or in which you are living. So basically, paints and coatings are everywhere, and as such, it is an area where we can really together reduce the carbon footprint in our paints and coatings value chain in the built environment. And let's have a focus here now on us, AkzoNobel as a company. AkzoNobel is a paints and coatings company represented everywhere in the world. We are a truly global player, a large one. We're one of the largest paints and coatings suppliers with almost 10 billion euros of turnover last year. And you see here on this map that we have around about 30% of our turnover coming from the Asian region. So we have a lot of activity in that region, a lot of projects we do there, particularly in the built environment, and we'll talk about it a bit later during this session. You see here on the left-hand side, at the bottom of this sheet here, also some of the brands that we use. You might know AkzoNobel as a company. Actually, you might also know some of the brands that we sell. So we have particular brands for consumers that you and I can buy in a retail store to use for our renovation work at home, for instance. But we also have particular industrial brands that some of our industrial B2B customers are using to apply to protect particular objects that we use, of course, in the built environment. Then, if we look at the purpose of our company, I think we have a great purpose as a company. We call it People, Planet, Paint. And you might recognize it here from People, Planet, Profit. What is it about? People, that's where we say we care about, of course, people and the communities in which we operate. Passion that's reflected in our commitment to safety, integrity, and sustainability. Planet, that's where we challenge ourselves and our partners every day to be better global citizens and protect the future of our planet. And Paint, our portfolio of paints and coatings, that's where we keep pushing boundaries to develop pioneering paint solutions that make a world of difference. And I would say with that, I would really feel I'm really proud to work for this company. I think it's a great purpose, and it's again confirming that with paints and coatings, we can actually make a positive impact, right, on sustainability and actually on the world around us, on our planet, but also on the people with whom we work and in the communities in which we operate. If we look at how AkzoNobel is being perceived externally on sustainability, based on the actions and the programs that we undertake, we are really being recognized as a sustainability leader in the paints and coatings industry and even in the chemical industry. Again, here, I feel rather proud of that. Some of the actions that we are undertaking are really being recognized externally by, for instance, rating agencies, but also by, for instance, EcoVadis, who do evaluate us on our sustainability programs in the value chain in which we operate. And for EcoVadis, for instance, we have the platinum medal, so the highest level, 1% out of around about 65,000 companies being audited by EcoVadis. So I think that's if you would like to work with a sustainability company in this paints and coatings industry in the built environment, I think with AkzoNobel you can definitely start on the right journey. Let's then have a look also at not only at our programs, of course, but particularly at our targets. And you see that here maybe a lot of information on this overview. We have set particular targets for people, planet, and paint. But I think in the context of the topic of today, carbon footprint reduction in the built environment, I want to share our key targets there, which are relevant. The main one I would say is our target to reduce by more than 50% our carbon emissions in both in our own operations, so in our own buildings and that we operate, but also in our value chain. And so we're focusing on carbon footprint reduction both in scope 1 and 2 for our own operations, and secondly also a 50% reduction in our scope 3, so meaning upstream and downstream, and that is quite a game changer for us as AkzoNobel, actually for the industry as such. That means that we are really trying to collaborate with our suppliers, but also with our customers in reducing the carbon emission in our overall value chain. And how can we achieve that? Well, that's the other main target I wanted to share with you today. That's actually through our sustainable solutions, the products in which we innovate, we develop, and then of course we implement together with our partners. Those are the products that actually can help reduce the carbon footprint in the overall value chain, whether it is the carbon footprint, of course, in our products, the embodied carbon, but also, of course, the carbon from the processes that are being operated to use and apply our products. So there's, I would say, great targets, and you see at the bottom of the slide some of the achievements we've made so far by the end of 2021. We're really, I'd say, in exciting times as a company. We have already developed a lot of programs on reducing carbon emissions from our products. We're scaling up some of those programs, but we're also reaching out to our partners in the built environment to develop more programs, maybe make new innovations, and also make sure that we can roll them out as much as possible. If you think about what does it mean, or what's the context of that target and reducing those carbon emissions? Well, that's actually shown on this slide here. Last year, AkzoNobel has not only set those targets on the carbon footprint reduction in both scope 1, 2, and 3, so also in our value chain, but we also have approved those targets with Science-Based Targets Initiative, SBTi. We're actually really proud of that. We're the first paints and coatings company who has achieved this, not only the setting, but also the approval for those targets. And we're really proud of that. We actually have set our targets as the most ambitious targets at the most ambitious level. You see that here. We would like to reduce our carbon emissions by 50% by 2030. The baseline for that is the year 2018. And this scenario is actually in line with the 1.5 degree global warming potential pathway from the Paris Agreement. So it is actually the strongest scenario that we're setting for us, but also for our value chain. And you see that here in the picture, right? AkzoNobel somewhere in the middle. Of course, we are at this moment talking to our suppliers, our most important suppliers, to try and reduce the carbon emissions from the activities in our upstream value chain. And secondly, of course, developing programs reaching out to our customers, but also the customers of our customers, so maybe specifiers and designers, to also help reduce the carbon footprint from our paints and coatings. And you see here on the right-hand side that there's different activities. Of course, you can think of companies who actually apply our products, which can be painters, but also professional companies who actually manufacture maybe elements of a building, or maybe equipment that goes on a building. And then you have, of course, also specifiers, people who actually design buildings. So we're reaching actually out to all of them and trying to implement more solutions to reduce the carbon footprint in our value chain. I also wanted to share with you here what are the key focus areas, right, to reduce actually the carbon footprint in the paints and coatings industry. If you think about reducing carbon emissions, we all can think of certain things that pop up in mind, and then often we think about optimizing maybe manufacturing and reducing transport, which are all areas we of course are working on. But actually, the four key areas we should be working on, because that's where we can have the biggest impact. They're listed here. It's actually energy transition, process efficiency, solvent emissions, and circularity. Energy transition is all about moving towards the use of renewable energy sources, both upstream but also downstream in the activities in maybe applying and curing some of our products. Process efficiency is all about reducing the material use, but also the energy use in those processes. You can think about products in which you maybe need less materials, therefore, of course, per definition, reducing the carbon emissions coming from the embodied carbon in those products. But secondly, also the energy use, both in the upstream but also in the downstream processes for paints and coatings. And downstream, you can think about products that need maybe heat, so energy during the application and the curing of those products. That's where we're focusing on products that actually need less energy to be applied and be cured. The third category are solvent emissions. I think it speaks for itself. Paints and coatings historically have been using solvents. We have been for many years already trying to reduce the solvents that we use in our paints and coatings. We do that through a program called Waterway, in which we move towards water-based products. We have lots of innovations in that area, and that's where we're trying to continue, of course, those innovations, but also roll out and implement more of those products which have lower solvent content as such, thereby reducing the carbon emissions from those solvents. And the fourth category you see here are circular solutions. Circular solutions is all about using renewable or maybe even recycled paints and coatings materials for our products. That's where, of course, we can make an impact reduction in the end-of-life carbon footprint from our products. We'll talk about these areas a bit later. I'll show you also some examples that we have, so you can maybe understand it a bit better on how we can work with them. And I also wanted to share with you here today something completely new that we've done. We are undertaking this year in terms of our innovation. We have a collaborative innovation platform called Paint the Future, in which not only we're working with our internal R&D forces and team to innovate, to develop new products. We're actually also reaching out to external partners through our Paint the Future network. That could be startups, academia, suppliers, or other kinds of organizations who can bring in new ideas in reducing the carbon footprint in the paints and coatings value chain. And this year we've organized for the first time a collaborative sustainability challenge, which is a very exciting challenge. We actually had the event a few weeks ago, in which we brought together some of our key partners in our value chain, our paints and coatings value chain, so including some of our key resin, for instance, titanium dioxide suppliers, but also some of our key customers. And we want to together try and find new ways of reducing the carbon footprint in the paints and coatings value chain. And from, for instance, the built environment, we had some of our key players, key customers who actually joined this event, including Kingfisher, CBRE, Arcadis, but also customers like Signify and Velux. Together, we believe we can make a bigger step, bigger leaps, and actually not only ramping up, scaling up some of the solutions which are already there, but also finding together new ways of working. Because bringing together insights from throughout the value chain actually will allow us to accelerate the implementation and development of lower carbon products. If we look at what kind of activities, where do you use in the built environment actually paints and coatings? I wanted to share here today with you an overview of that. You see on the right-hand side some of the key, let's say, markets, type of applications in which you can use paints and coatings in the built environment. Some of them, you might know them as decorative paints, right? That you and I can use at home to maybe renovate a part of our residential buildings. You see some of the brands that you might know. And then a bit more to the low here, you see also some of the more industrial type of coatings that we develop for the built environment. You can think about products that protect either metal and concrete with anti-corrosion or fire protection properties, which we sell under our international brand. You can think about powder coatings, which by themselves are in a way sustainable because of their product and process efficiency, but also the lack of VOCs, right? These are powder coatings, so there's no solvent being used there. That's where we have applications for both the exterior side of buildings, right? The facades, for instance, but also for interior applications. And then we have also our what we call our industrial coatings, which combine both a group of coil coatings used for instance, metalworks, right? For roofing, but also for facades, and our wood solutions. So solutions where we see that wood is being used in buildings. Here we have different solutions to actually protect wood, but also adhesives for certain wooden structures. All solutions that you can imagine are being used for different elements and parts of a building, whether they are used in the inside of a building or on the outside of a building. So a large variety of solutions in which we're actually trying to innovate, develop solutions that have a lower carbon footprint, and working with our customers in implementing, of course, those kind of solutions. If we then think about sustainable buildings and reducing the carbon footprint in the built environment, of course, we also have to think about green building certifications. So how do we actually achieve that carbon footprint reduction in the built environment? One of the ways, of course, is following a green building certification scheme and following some of the criteria that are being used in those certification schemes. And I wanted to share with you here shortly for green building certification schemes, some of the most globally used ones, LEED and BREEAM, how paints and coatings can actually help you achieve some of those certifications, but also what's the impact, right, on potentially on a carbon footprint reduction. And you see here three main categories in which paints and coatings can actually contribute in a green building certification scheme. And I would also like to share with you what does it mean for the carbon footprint. So if we focus on the first category called improving indoor air quality, well, those are products that actually contain a low level of solvents, or hardly any solvents could be. And that's where, of course, again, you see that not only by having pure air, so a good working environment, we're also reducing the carbon footprint of those products being applied actually in a building. The second category is, of course, the materials that are being used in a building and the environmental footprint of those products. For that, we have developed for particular projects EPDs, environmental product declarations, which of course provide a snapshot, an environmental footprint of our products. But I also would like to share with you here that AkzoNobel has for our global portfolio of products, we have the carbon footprint information available. So if we, together, for instance, with our customers, maybe specifiers, if we want to identify products and solutions that have different, maybe better carbon footprints than others, we have data available to work with those partners on that. And last but not least, sustainable sites. So how can we help avoiding heat islands, in particular, of course, urban areas? Here you can think about highly reflective, so solar reflective coatings being used for facades, but also for roofs. And that's where, of course, in particular areas, regions in the world where there's a lot of heat, but also think about the seasons, so the hot summer in certain areas of the world, where you might want to limit climate control in a building, or where coatings can help you actually reduce the heat transfer from outside inside into a building. So different opportunities, right, to not only to use paints and coatings for a green building certified building, but also again reducing the carbon footprint of the building that you are designing or operating. And now I wanted to share with you a few examples. I have multiple examples, but I wanted to share a few ones which are actually relating back to the categories I just showed you on how we can reduce the carbon footprint in the built environment. You see here on this picture here two different solutions actually from our powder coatings activities. On the left-hand side, you see powder coatings being applied in lighting fixtures, so where we actually have highly reflective powder coatings, which can help reduce the energy uses of your lighting. On the right-hand side, you see a powder coating solution, which we call a low cure or a low E product range. These are products that powder coatings do need energy for the curing of those products on the topic of, let's say, the objects on which they are being applied. And here we have developed different solutions in reducing actually the temperature and thereby also the energy that you need to apply those products on these substrates, which in the end are being used in the building. And we call it our low E product range in powder coatings. We have this kind of technology both in our powder coatings, also in other activities that we deploy in the built environment. So if you want to, if you're using these type of products, if you want to design a building that actually uses some of these coatings on the substrates, then yeah, I can tell you AkzoNobel is developing and has products available that can actually help reduce the carbon footprint in those kind of processes. The other example I wanted to share with you is actually an example on material efficiency. Using less material actually will, per definition, of course, reduce the carbon footprint in a building, whether there are core materials, but also, of course, paints and coatings who are there to protect certain surfaces. Here's an example that we actually have developed for the Asian region, in which we have a product called Dulux Weather Shield. We've developed here a two-coat system which has the same performance or even better performance than a standard three-coat system. So that's not only helping our, let's say, customers who apply those products in their productivity, but also it helps them, of course, to reduce the carbon footprint, because less material you use, the lower the carbon footprint, of course, is, not only at the moment, of course, that you're applying the product, but probably also over the lifetime when that product actually is being used. And the third example I wanted to share with you here is a product that we also sell in the Asian region, again under the brand name of Dulux Better Living, in which we are using a certain amount of renewable raw materials, but also have developed a product which has a very low VOC level. And thereby, we basically touch upon two of our key drivers to reduce the carbon footprint of our products. One, of course, in the end of life, by using more renewable raw materials, we reduce the carbon footprint in the end of life phase. But secondly, of course, again, lower VOC levels will allow us to have a lower carbon footprint from that product when it is being applied on a product or on a substrate in a building. Those are the examples I wanted to share with you today. We have multiple more examples, right? Different kind of products. I remember the picture I showed you on what kind of paints and coating solutions we have available for the built environment. If you are interested, right, in actually sharing maybe some of your ideas, but also if you have particular questions on that, if you maybe have a particular building project and you would like to reach out to us to talk about how we can actually help you reduce the carbon footprint for that project, feel free to send us to contact us. You can do it by email. I'm sharing with you here the email address there to which you can actually send your request or maybe even ID. You can also go to our global webpage at AkzoNobel.com. We have sections there on green buildings and on sustainable solutions that might give you also some inspiration on some of those sustainable solutions you could apply for your building project to reduce, let's say, the carbon footprint of your project. You can also follow AkzoNobel on social media for the latest insights and news on our company, but also, of course, on our solutions. So exciting times at AkzoNobel. I really would like to thank, of course, the World Building Council and the APEC team for organizing this event. I think it's a great event. I'll be also watching actually some of the other sessions of the other companies joining here. I think by sharing that knowledge, we will definitely be able to ramp up, scale up some of the technologies which are out there and reduce the carbon footprint in the built environment, both the embodied carbon, but also the operational carbon in buildings. I'm now looking at the end of the session just at our chat box just to see if we actually got any questions in there. And I see there is a person asking a question about marine protective and YAF coatings. Yes, okay, so maybe not relevant for the topic of today. We're talking about, of course, today the carbon footprint and net zero solutions for the built environment. But the question is being asked, do we as a company also develop and sell products in the marine and yacht business? So that area, yes, we do. And we also have sustainable solutions in that area. If you would like to know more, of course, about our company, about the solution that we have for either the built environment, but even also for other sectors, feel free to reach out to us on the email address that you see here, or of course on social media. We would love to, of course, engage with you and learn maybe from you, but also see how we can develop some of our products together, new solutions. So let me just see, is there someone else asking a question? Okay, maybe the last question for the session. I see someone is asking a question. What is a low E painting and how does it work? Yeah, low E is a product or a technology actually that we use and that we develop where you use less energy in curing that kind of product. So for instance, think about coil coatings or powder coatings. They are being used to actually protect certain metal substrates. And in the application of the processes, we use our customers use energy, right, in curing those coatings. And for those kind of processes, we have developed technologies, so solutions where you need less energy actually in curing those coatings. So I hope that you feel a little bit inspired. I hope that you now also think about paints and coatings and solutions, right? Opportunities to reduce the carbon footprint in the built environment. I thank you very much for joining our session today. I wish you also a lot of inspiration and enjoyment, right, in joining some of the other sessions. And I wish you a great event. And thanks again to the World Building Council for organizing this event. Bye-bye.